We've all been there. Working in a company, you have to meet certain expectations set by your management, by your colleagues. You're in a design role, you work within a design team, or you're on your own, which we've been there too, and you feel like you're drowning a little bit. You're struggling, you don't know whether or not what you're doing is useful. I'm here to help. Hey, what's up? By the end of this video, you'll have the tools you need to be proficient as a UX designer, will give structure to your workflow, to your daily life, and help you solve problems that may even be at scale. We're going to do this by discussing 5 steps. And these 5 steps will include a framework, a mentality to adopt, essential tooling, defining a direction, and designing at scale. So let's start with a framework. The framework that I use is called a design thinking methodology. And this consists of also 5 steps. Step 1 is to empathize. Step 2 is to define. Step 3 is to ideate. Step 4 is to prototype. And step 5 is to test. So let's start with the empathize phase. You want to create as much empathy with your users as you possibly can, whether you know them yet or whether you don't. That can also be part of this step, identifying your users. We want to essentially get to know who we're designing for. So this can be done through surveys, one-to-one research, interviews, also more creative flows like empathy maps, so you understand the feelings of your users, and it will help build genuine empathy for your target audience. You can also build personas from this, which is great for the entire design process. Step 2 is identifying the problem at hand, the define phase. You'll do this through building journey maps, need statements, and this will help align the team, visualize the problem with the personas so that people can put 2 and 2 together essentially and see types of problems that you're trying to solve for the product that you've created or the product that you're going to create. Step 3 is to ideate, and you really want to try and involve as many people as you can in this phase. You want to collaborate. Anybody can come up with a brilliant idea. I've worked in companies in the past where we've spoken with every department, and each department always comes up with a brilliant idea that you just haven't thought of, because they have their own issues with the product, with users, with the flow, the processes, whatever it might be. Create as much of a collaborative environment as you can, working more remotely these days, so it can be a little bit more difficult, but there's tooling out there that makes this super easy. Step 4 is the prototype. So you want to create tangible solutions around some of the ideation that you've had. This will give context to some of the ideas that you've been considering. You can embed them into diagrams, designs, experiences, whatever it might be. It gives a little bit of structure to the flows that you're thinking about and creating. And step 5 is to test. So testing is super important. It helps you to understand where you're going wrong in your ideation, in your prototyping. You might have thought of an idea that you thought was brilliant, but then when you test it with your users, actually that's not that great. Again, you can do this in user feedback sessions. You can use analytics tools, undervalued, underused in many companies. I highly suggest using analytical tools. You can leverage them pretty easily, discuss it with an engineer, with stakeholders, whatever it might be. Try to gather as much data as you can. So step 2 is you want a mentality to adopt. A mentality is super important because it means that you have morals to rely on. Other people will see those morals in you. You'll be able to set expectations with stakeholders, with people that you work with, and really encourage ability to overcome a fast-paced environment. And this is essentially done by setting expectations. If you do this on a daily basis, remind people that you work with what you're capable of, the types of things that you think are feasible within the next however many months, within a certain time frame. So you might be asked in your role to do certain things that have crossover with other roles. And this happens quite a lot with UX designers because there's not always that education there for people to understand the distinction between, for example, a UX designer and a UI designer. Step 3 is essential tooling. Now the tooling should be purpose-driven. It shouldn't be a trend that you see just for the sake of it and you want to adopt it in your company because it looks cool or somebody told you about it and you think it's going to be worthwhile. It should meet your demands. It should improve your efficiency, your workflows. And you can do this by, again, referring back to what problems are you trying to solve and the why. Because the why is the key element that you want to keep referring back to throughout the entire process. Why is it you're trying to solve this problem? Why does your user have this problem? There's a few areas that I tend to refer back to personally, and they involve research, surveys, design, collaboration, gathering insights, and bringing that all together. I'll have a whole list of the tools that I personally use in a separate video, but that will come at a later date. Step 4 is defining direction. So your research is what should define your direction in your organization. It's something that, again, you can keep referring back to. And if somebody offers up an opinion that you don't necessarily agree with, or that you think could be improved on, you can then deliver value by showing the research that you've gathered. It's a super important step. It aligns people. It's definitely underrated. And essentially, without direction, people don't know where they're going. Step 5 is to design for scale. Scale is a huge feat for any company. So if you've helped to define it, or if you've just joined a company that's already defined it, it's a bit of a weird place to be in, because you're essentially solving problems that could be for millions of people on a daily basis. The things that you do could be on their phones, on their websites, on their VR headsets, whatever it might be, on their contact lenses even. And the way that I personally confront this is by following a few principles. One is to be accountable for the work that you do. So to have the expectations set by you, but also by your colleagues, by your stakeholders. What are their demands? How can you meet in the middle? And then meet those demands. Another principle is to trust your process. So you've built this thing, you really want to deliver, you want to be able to show that you can offer the value that you can, and you have to trust it. It's the only way to build at scale, design at scale. So this, combined with the previous 4 steps, should enable you to blossom in your role. And hopefully you'll be able to meet those expectations set by everyone. You'll be able to set a few of your own and deliver, and maybe even enjoy it along the way. So through your comments and your feedback, I'll iterate my own videos and I'll improve, hopefully, and I'll see you in the next one.